إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستعينه ونستنصره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه وخليله، بعثه الله هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا، فبلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. أما بعد، أيها الإخوة المؤمنون، أيتها الأخوات المؤمنات، ما زلنا نتحدث عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، عن أفضل الأنبياء وعن خاتم النبيين. وإذا أردنا أن نعرفه فدعونا نلقي الضوء على شخصيته من خلال الذين لم يسلموا بعد. فهناك حادثة ذكرها البخاري، حادثة وحوار بين هرقل عظيم الروم وبين أبي سفيان زعيم قريش. حصلت هذه الحادثة أو حصل هذا الحوار بعد صلح الحديبية، عندما كان أهل قريش في ضيق وفي ضيق شديد. قاموا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بصلح الحديبية، فذهب أبو سفيان خلال الصلح إلى بلاد الشام في تجارة ليأتي بالطعام ويأتي بما يحتاجونه من بلاد الشام. وصل في هذا الوقت رسالة إلى هرقل من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في ذلك الوقت، في وقت العهد في صلح الحديبية، يرسل الرسائل إلى الملوك والأمراء يدعوهم بها إلى الإسلام. منهم من قبلها، ومنهم من تردد بها، ومنهم من مزق هذه الرسائل. من هذه الرسائل التي وصلت إلى هرقل، فطلب هرقل أن يلتقي مع أحد الناس من العرب، فقال لجنوده: ائتوني بالناس من جزيرة العرب. وكان في ذلك الوقت أبو سفيان في تجارته، فنودي وأوتي به إلى هرقل عظيم. So we're still talking about the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and it is maybe the best way to know, if we want to know our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is to look at those who were not Muslim in that time and to see how they look at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's one of the issues that make us proud of our Prophet, that what the people said about him who are non-Muslims in that time. Then in that time there were Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, a covenant between the Prophet ﷺ and the Mushrikeen in Sulh al-Hudaybiyah that there will be no war. But the Quraysh in that time, they were in very difficult time in terms of food, in terms of lack of their food needs. They were in short in that time. So Abu Sufyan traveled. To Syria to gain, as you know, tijara, to make the business and to bring some of that business back to Quraysh. In that time, when the Prophet ﷺ was giving them, the mushrikeen, this covenant, he sent letters. He sent letters to all kings and leaders of other nations, especially the two empires. And the two empires is the Persian Empire, the most strongest empire, Persian Empire, and Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire. And Herakl got a letter from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam inviting him to Islam. The translator told him, this is an invitation letter from a person in the desert calling you are the leader of Roman, to Islam. He did not open the letter, he did not read it. He said, I want to meet first Heracles, in English Heracles, was a very smart man, and he was very knowledgeable man about Christianity and Judaism. He read a lot. He's one of their top scholars. So he said, before he's opening the letter, he said, I want to meet people from Arabs backgrounds. In that time, Abu Sufyan was in Gaza, in Palestine. Gaza, we know Gaza. He was doing the business. Gaza was a very strategic point in terms of business-wise. So Herakl asked that he need to see top people from Arabs backgrounds. Abu Sufyan was called with his people to meet the leader of the Roman Empire. And that by itself, this call by itself is shaky. It's not an easy. You're gonna meet the leader of the ruler who ruled half of Europe. Half of Europe was under Herakl. While this invitation coming from a man, he's in Medina. He's in Medina. So imagine from Medina, he got a letter from Medina al-Munawwara, from the Prophet ﷺ, calling the Roman Empire to Islam, with 3,000 army. Prophet ﷺ, he has 3,000 army. The army of Roman Empire in that time was in millions. In millions. That they said, this is the empire, the sun will not be hidden, so the sun is always there. That's Herakl. Herakl. When Abu Sufyan met Herakl, he said, Herakl told his translators, who is the closest in relationship to this man? Closest in relationship. Man aqrabukum minhu nasaba. Man aqrabukum minhu nasaba. So who's the closest in relationship to Muhammad, to this man, who's claiming he's a prophet? So look at this. Herakl did not say he's a liar, because if he believes he's a liar, he would not ask. But he said he's claiming he's a prophet, in a smart way to relax Abu Sufyan and to make him not to lie. He said, I am the one. Abu Sufyan said, I am the one. And Abu Sufyan in that time was non-Muslim, was a mushrik. He said, come close. He came close. Abu Sufyan came close to Herakl. And he let his team, his friends, be behind him, standing behind him. And he said to his translator, I'm going to ask him, Abu Sufyan, questions that if he lies, then his friend has to say he's lying. He's facing people. If they said lie, facing face to face, people, it will be difficult. So he's smart. He let his friends be behind him and close to him, but in his back. And if he lied, then they have to correct him. And according to the Arab tradition, lying is not permitted. So Abu Sufyan, he said, لولا أن يؤثر علي أني أكذب عنه لكذبت. لولا أن يؤثر علي. رفاقي لو سمعوني عم كذب عليه بكرة بيروحوا بين القوم ويقولون أن أبا سفيان كذب وهم لا يكذبون. قال مع شدة كراهيتي له إلا أني لم أجرؤ على أن أكذب. Even though I hated him so much, I hated Muhammad so much, but I was worried that my friends, if they heard me saying lies, they go back to Quraysh and they say Abu Sufyan said lies. And saying lies in Arab tradition was something unacceptable. Period. No. So even that, he did not tell him not to lie, he's not gonna lie. So he asked him 11 questions. Deep, concentrate, and from the Bible, and from the Torah. Deep studied man. Very critical questions. Direct. And the answer was also direct. He said, have ever been claiming prophecy in your area before him? Anyone was claiming he's a prophet in your area before him? Abu Sufyan said, no. And in your area? because Herakl knows the Prophet will come from victory. He said, has been any king from his family, in his family, that's rooted family? He said, no king from his family. He said, the rich people following him or the poor people following him? Abu Sufyan said, poor people following him. He said, their number increasing or decreasing? Abu Sufyan replied, is the numbers increasing? Have you fought him? He said, yes. How was the battle? He said, سجال بيننا وبينه ننال منه وينال منا. سجال. One time we have a victory and one time he had. He said, هل جربتم عليه كذبا? Have you ever caught him lying? He said, no. We've never him saying lies. هل يغدر? Would he break his covenants? He said, no. But in this time, we are in covenant, we're in covenant with him, but because we don't know what he's going to do. And Abu Sufyan said, this is the only things I tried to make Prophet look bad. Because I'm trying to say something bad about him, but I couldn't. So this is the only chance for me that we are in covenant with him now. We don't know what he's going to do. So as an indication that he might break it. Abu Sufyan did not pay attention to that. He said, هل يغدر? Would he break it? He said, no, but now he might. So Herakl didn't take it. And he said, بماذا يأمركم? What he is calling you for. What he is calling you for. He said, Abu Sufyan said, يأمرنا بعبادة الله وأن لا نشرك به شيئا وإقام الصلاة والصدق والعفاف والصلة. He is telling us to establish prayer and to say the truth, صدق. Because he used to be called Sadiq al-Amin. He used to be called As-Sadiq al-Amin. He's telling us to say always the truth. And afaf, and to be pure, and sila, and to keep our kinship, our relationship strong. Stop. That was the answer. What was the reply? The reply from Abu Sufyan was specific. He said, I ask you, is he from a good family or a bad or not a good family? You said yes, and prophets came from good families. I ask you that rich people followed him or the poor people followed him. You said poor people followed him. And this is the followers, most of the followers of the prophets. I ask you, would he say lies? You said he never. He did not. He said, وَالْأَنْبِيَاءُ كَذَلِكَ. And I ask you that the number of his followers increasing or decreasing, you said increasing, and this is also the numbers of the believers. When the iman, when the faith come to their hearts, they hope on it, and they don't leave it. None of them, we can become murtad. None of them left the religion in Islam. Abu Sufyan did not see anyone leaving the religion of Islam. Because when it's entered the heart correctly, it can't go out. And I ask you, if he break his covenant, you said no, and the Prophet would not do it. And I ask you what he's telling you to do, and you said he's telling you to worship Allah alone, and to establish prayer, and to say the truth, and to be pure, to be clean, and also to keep your relationship. If I have the time that to go and be a servant, I'm gonna be his servant, and I'm gonna wash his feet. You know, in the Christian priest philosophy, washing feet is a sign of humbleness. Sometimes Pope do wash feet. So according to the teaching of Christianity, so washing feet is some kind of humbleness. So he said, I'm gonna be there. And noise happened because leaders with Herakl did not like the statement. So the noise was heard, and people start talking. His emirs and his start talking. His ministers, they start talking. And Abu Sufyan said, لقد عظم أمر ابن أبي كبشة. عظيم الروم يخافوا. That Ibn Abi Kabsha, that Muhammad, his news become here in the castle of Herakl, that his news was it's famous, that even the Herakl is becoming scared of his da'wah, of his invitation. So this is a dialogue. I ask you, please, to go and read it in Sahih al-Bukhari. It has a lot of meanings. This is who's your prophet, and what he's calling for. This is the prophet in the Bible, and this is the prophet in the Torah, and this is the prophet we're following. Why we're scared of him? If Herakl, he's well-deep person who studied Torah and Injil and Bible, he knows who's your prophet. Be proud of him. Be proud of him. And by the way, Abu Sufyan became Muslim after that, and he's the one who said the story to Ibn Abbas. He himself who said the story Ibn Abbas from his mouth, and also Herakl. The ulama differ. Najashi became Muslim, yes. Later, when Najashi received that letter, Najashi became a Muslim. Herakl, some of the scholars, they said Herakl also became a Muslim. Because he said, if the time comes and permits that I'm going to be a servant, and you know that millions of soldiers and the greatest empire in that time was faced with Medina forces, and as Herakl said, if what you're saying, Abu Sufyan, is it true that he will conquer my place? If you're what's saying, Abu Sufyan, is true, then your prophet will be here, and your army will be here. No Roman Empire and no Persian Empire. Would you imagine a person from the desert with 3,000 soldiers that will face the two greatest empires in that time, and not only that, make Herakl himself think about this man coming from the desert. He is the prophet that Jesus talked about. He is the prophet that Moses talked about. And he is the prophet Ibrahim made a special dua. Ibrahim alayhi salam, what he said when he was building the Kaaba, what he said to his son Ismail, they both raised their hand and they said, رَبَّنَا وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. So this is the da'wah of Ibrahim, this is the dua of Ibrahim, and this is the good news of Jesus, and this is what Herakl knows about our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let us hook ourselves to the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It cannot be acceptable that Herakl will know about the Prophet's life, and you do not know. And it is not also permissible for us that Abu Sufyan knows more about the Prophet ﷺ, even he was non-Muslim, and he was telling us the characters of the Prophet ﷺ, and we don't. So we have to take his life as a great model for us. And believe me, his da'wah, a person coming from that area, that his da'wah reached leaders from different parts of the world, and they became Muslim even till now. And today, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give you good news. With all these difficulties we're facing, with all this hardship we're facing, you have to be confident then the numbers of Muslims who become Muslims are more. You know, the bad cartoons about your prophets increase the number of Muslims. Because people now asking, is this true pictures? Let us read about this man. And people, when they read about this man, they become like Iraq. They became like Iraq. We're not afraid of anything. We're not worried about anything. What we have, we give. And what we know, we tell. And this is what the people will know. And they will judge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring this light. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون هو الذي أرسل رسوله هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره شاء أمره ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون أقول قولي هذا. أستغفرك ربي لا أحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. عباد الله اعلموا أن الله قد أمركم بأمر عظيم بدأ به بنفسه وثنى به على ملائكة عرشه وثلث به على عباده الصالحين فقال عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا عظموه وقروه احترموه قدروه. Allah and his angels praying to the Prophet ﷺ that istighfar and rahmah and mercy. So love your Prophet. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلم. Respect, obey, listen to, take him as a model. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلم تسليما. That's why it is highly encouraged to say when you hear his name صلى الله عليه وسلم. صلى الله عليه. Doesn't mean Allah praying on him, pray. The praying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mercy, is blessing, is respect. So this is how that we have to look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels doing that. So we have to really pay attention for this great prophet who came to spread the light of Islam. It is not enough to be called Muhammad. It is not enough to be called Abdul Rahman or Abdullah. It is not enough. And we don't want you to change your name after these difficulties. Some people, they start changing their names. Said we don't want to look Muslims. And even we don't want to say Salaam Alaikum when you are in the mall and when you are at university. It's too much hardship, too much pressure. Don't change your name. And don't change the way of the Prophet ﷺ. So the only thing that you need to do to adjust your life to be similar to the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Bakr used to look at the steps. Would you imagine someone looking at the steps of the Prophet ﷺ? Today people hook to their leaders so much. They even when they are guarding them and they have security guards, they follow them. But look at the Abu Bakr, the steps of the Prophet ﷺ, how he used to walk, that Abu Bakr was trying to match and trying to exercise. So let us bring this understanding to our lives, and I do really encourage the story of this dialogue, the dialogue between Heracles and Abu Sufyan, to be studied well and to be taught to our kids, that they will have, inshallah, good basic knowledge about our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his enemies in that time, or from those who are non-Muslims in that time. Allahumma برحمتك نحدث وعليك نتكل لا تكلنا لأنفسنا طرفة عين وخذ بناصيتنا إلى الخير. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ونعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا اللهم من الراشدين. اللهم حبب إلينا رسولك. اللهم واجعلنا من الذين يقتفون أثاره واجعلنا اللهم من الذين يتخذونه أسوة لنا في كل ما نفعل وفي كل ما نقول. اللهم حببه إلينا واجعل دفاعنا عنه بتعلمنا حياته يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. ألف بين قلوبنا قلوبنا، وحد صفوفنا، اجمع كلمتنا، طهر نفوسنا، وزد علمنا، اللهم وزد علمنا. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تحقن دماء المسلمين، اللهم احقن دماء المسلمين. من أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين خيرا فوفقه لكل خير، ومن أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين مكرا وخديعة وسوءا وضرا فاجعل السوء عليه، واجعل دائرة السوء عليه، واجعل المكر به يا رب العالمين. اللهم من أراد بالإسلام وبنبي الإسلام خيرا فوفقه لكل خير، ومن أراد بالإسلام وبنبي الإسلام ضرا وأذى فرد كيده في نحره، إنك على كل شيء قدير وبالإجابة جدير. وقوموا إلى صلاتكم.
الله أكبر.